grace upon us. We ask this in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
Please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we have City Council work session priorities and goal setting. Mike, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Sorry. Taking this stuff and I'm writing it down to make my list. First off, thank you very much for this opportunity. I do find these very productive for us. So just a couple of things that I did kind of want to throw out there real quick. I do not want to take an enormous amount of your time, but I did want to, thought it was very important for you guys to give me some guidelines to move forward with. Just a quick reminder, we did have a discussion about doing a more formal strategic planning effort in that February, March time frame, sort of get us ready for the budget sessions and as it's coming up into the new year. So I really see this as an opportunity for some short-term goals and some short-term directives from council so we can kind of get us moving forward in those directions and see how I can get these done. So we did a nice little informal poll of getting down to sort of these priorities. If you notice, I asked for 5, we got 4 and 5. So the E was 4 ones that basically had the tie score. They all had sort of 2 votes to them. All the other ones, so A, B, C, and D, all had a majority vote. And then the E was 4 votes that basically came in ties. But I can sort of narrow that scope down for you when we get down there, but I just want to sort of give you that how that worked out in advance. So sort of get started. Hopefully we can knock this out in 1 hour and you guys can be about your day and I have directions to move forward. Wanted to start with the city manager and council communications. I can kind of go in or you guys can start. How do you think you want to work this, Mayor? You kind of want me to go in and my thoughts and then get your guys' feedback, or do you guys want to give me feedback? And
Why don't you start us?
okay. On my side, on the city manager council communications, we've talked about it on a couple of different occasions. You know, my thoughts are just being consistent, being open to everyone, keeping everybody on the same time scale, on the same communication scales. So hopefully you're seeing very much of how I sort of started out with my role here. When I email something out, I do send it to all the council. If there's communication back and forth, I do, again, send it all to council. If I get a question or something from a council member, I do try to, again, include all the council. So everybody's on the same page. Everybody understands what people are talking about and understands if there's been meetings or site visits. I talked to Wesley about that today. I will send out updates of all the meetings and site visits and things that we've done, again, so you guys are informed and understand where I am and what I've been doing. And I asked Wesley again if he won't do too many of them, but when he does, please send those updates out and keep us all informed. Everybody's on that page, everybody's on that list, so we're all staying sort of in tune for everything that's going on. Transparency, of course, so we're all staying informed of those particular things. You know, the emails and text is very similar to what you had with Jim. I mean, I do respond to emails and texts. I try not to on my downtime and my weekend times if I don't have to, but of course, if you wanted to, if it's an emergency, please let me know. Or of course, I'm always available by phone if you really do need to get a hold of me, and I will respond accordingly and quickly on all of these particular things. And I think that was about where everything I had on that. Was there anything I could take from council's directors, wisdom's thoughts?
I just got a quick question, and I was trying to look back to my email real quick, but I didn't see. I know that you've been on the job for what, about a week now?
Yes, sir.
Are you going to continue doing the weekend updates like the Friday afternoon, like Jim did? Was that kind of in the plans, or is
Yes,
it more of okay?
Yeah.
I still also, I mean, I'll echo. We talked about it at the last meeting. but how much we appreciated how in-depth you went with the city manager update too. We wanted to make sure that we would still get the weekly as well.
Yes, sir. And to expand upon that, and we talked about it at the last council meeting, if I get directives from council, I will of course bring that back and make you guys aware of what our actions were to that point. So if there's anything I didn't do or was another expectation of me, we can have that discussion.
So my Jim was very kind to be like, hey, you know, if it's something, an area you know Mike's working in, feel free to reach out to him. Would you want that for Wesley too, or do you just want us to funnel everything to you and then you just get it to Wesley or whomever you need to, respectfully?
Yeah, no, I mean, that's a good question. Wesley will be in the brain trust with us. I don't mind you reaching out to Wesley. If any of you do reach out to a staff member, I would ask that you CC me on it so I'm aware of those particular things so I can stay abreast of any of that is taking place. Wesley's going to be actively involved in as much like I was when I was the city manager or assistant city manager. So, yeah, I just ask that you keep me informed of CCing on those emails.
Okay.
Yeah, you just said any staff member. We don't communicate with any staff member.
No, I mean, he is with me and
So
our
the
office.
only staff member you're saying that this body you're comfortable with, us communicating with, is to Wesley, and when we do that, we copy you.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you for that.
As far as our meetings, individual meetings with you, I think the mayor coupled up with Phil. I'd love to have others couple up, with me, or me couple up with others too. I think it can save your time, as well as it's a good way to be able to, share some communications. So anytime that, I think my standing meeting with you is on Fridays, but if there's another council member that wants to come while I'm meeting and it saves you time, I think the more the merrier, actually, as long as it's not a quorum.
100%. I mean, I love those interactions again. When we have a couple of people, I get a little bit more feelings of how others are thinking about when we're having those discussions. So I love it. It was a great meeting that we had with the mayor and Councilman Carter last night. So I am all for it.
And then you said that usually when you reply to all of us. I think that's a great idea, so that we're in the loop. But the same thing with the city attorney. We've started that, and that's going to remain too, right?
Yes, sir. Very much so.
Yeah, I just want to thank council. We had some great conversations, talking about communication, and everybody wants to know what's going on in their district, and the entire city is my district. So I'm glad to be back in a position where I'll be informed, and Phil was very gracious to say, well, Mayor, we want to make sure that you are, and you want to join me for my standing Friday meeting. So that was really
It was fun. We had a good time.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Anything else on that one?
I mean,
Okay, thank you.
park improvements were number B. A very passionate subject, and no surprise that made the list. We are looking forward to continue updating our parks. I know we had a great start with Linwood Park. There's other parks that we need to put time and effort and energy into, and we are going to come up with a plan for those particular parks. Wesley, again, does an amazing job on the park side. He's been doing that for a long time, so we're definitely bouncing ideas back and forth of how to do that. And I'm here to garner some more ideas from council, what you think are those important things that we should be looking at. Sort of focusing on the parks and what we can do to continue for you guys to feel proud for our parks. So I'm here for that. I know Wesley had there's been some conversations back and forth about the Water and Land Conservation Grant. That was out there. I'm hoping to hear how you feel about those. We have some ideas from the Riverwalk. Our Riverwalk is it's a jewel that we have in Cayce. And we need to continue to make sure that we're maintaining it to the proper scale and proper standards that I think everybody expects. And we think we have some work to do to get it back to being that crown jewel, and we're here to tell you that it will. We're gonna put that hard work into doing that, so that's one area I know on our focus part. We do have a partnership with Lexington County Recreation Commission, so I'm interested in looking for some directive on how you want us to approach those particular parks. And there was some ideas that our last city manager had and was working with the Rec Commission on, and I'm happy to discuss those if you would like. They were good ideas. I didn't get any of that back in time to bring it forth. I do have the agreement now. We looked it over. It was an opportunity to partner with some half-court basketball goals at Sunnyside and Avenue. I'm interested to hear your perspective on those and how you would like for us to move forward with those. And we also have an idea for a funding mechanism that with a partner. I'm hoping to try to get some additional funding for our parks that we can use. It's not in our budget right at this particular moment. And it's a bit of contractual, so it's something I would like to discuss a little bit further at another time. But I think it's a wonderful idea, but it's a give and take. It's not, as we always say, there's not free money out there, but it's an idea that I have with a partner to try to get some funding for parks. And I would love to have those behind-the-scenes conversations with you to get your take on those particular. Other than that, open ears to any suggestions or ideas that you guys have for our parks, so we can put those priorities in place.
Update me where we stand on the Riverwalk. We lost that a lot of that elevated section in 15, correct?
We lost what, Phil?
Part, that elevated part
The
going
board,
around.
the wooden board.
Oh, yeah, okay.
All right, and we went through all that rigmarole. FEMA got it, finally got it repaired, got it back open.
Yes, sir.
Then we had another issue 3 or 4 years ago, I recall, correct?
I don't know about the three. We had one a
Had
year
one
and a half
since.
ago.
Maybe we made our repairs. Then of course now we've had a sewer line failure.
Yes.
Where are we there?
We're waiting on the contractor to get us a quote. This one is a little bit different than some of the flooding repairs that we had. This one actually blew out the foundation of a couple of sections of the boardwalk. So it's I hate to use the term, but it's a little even more unsafe than it was. Last time the foundations were a little off and a little bit of sediment damage. This one actually took out the foundation. So the foundations are going to have to be put back into a section of the boardwalk. But we do not have the numbers. We've had them out there, looked at them a couple times, but I don't think we still have to go back.
No, I talked with him just a few days ago. He said he had some things worked up. He had to get them over here to us. But he's been out and looked at it in detail. I think even approached it from the water angle to get in there. And this is our own call contractor we generally use. So he's working on that, and I'm pushing him to try and get that done as soon as possible.
Could that be added in the Friday weekly, like the status update, just so we're all in the know? This is, that losing that connectivity, kind of having that middle section out, stresses people out, because it's a
It does.
great, safe place to be able to get a long run or a long cycle in.
It's
So-
in the middle of all.
Right, it's in the middle of
places.
all of it. So, yeah, if we could get those weekly updates on progress, that'd be.
So are we going back in there and have to re-drill footers? Or are we gonna have an Army Corps of Engineer problem?
I can't honestly answer that question, Norman. I don't think, when we talked about it, wasn't re-drilling footers, but we'd have to get the gabion baskets back in there, replace them, and solidify them again. What we believe was the essential damage to these footies at this particular time was when that sewer line broke and spilled out. There was a tree, I don't know if you remember, there was a tree that was actually leaning on the boardwalk for a number of years. It actually took that tree out. And when the tree went out, it took all of the sediment and all of the root system in it and actually pulled that footing out, and it's gone. I mean, it's somewhere in Cayce County, which you don't normally see. So we would either have to go back and, to your point, put a piling in of some sort or put those gig-in baskets in. So it'll be quite the challenge. That's what they've been.
I don't think that we would need to get the Corps involved since it's maintenance related.
Mike, I have a lot of part questions,
All right.
but you know, prior to you taking over, you know, Jim and I had some pretty good discussions about, you know, additional basketball courts because I had constituents call, especially at Sunnyside, and you know, just looking at how filled Glenwood Park is, that is a full basketball court. I believe doing a half basketball court would be a slap in the face to our citizens, especially the ones that live over there, because these courts, they get filled up pretty fast. So I really would love for us to work with the county to get a full basketball court there and reassure them if there's any worries that our parks have cameras and we have the best police force in the area, that they'll make sure all of our parks are safe. If they have any worries about that, because I know sadly that's been an issue that I've heard in the past. So I just want to make sure that they know that we're going to take care of our end as long as, you know, they meet us halfway. So I would love for us to have a full court at Sunnyside.
What's the concern? I didn't know
Safety.
anything about this. This is a new conversation to me, so I'm glad to be updated. But what's the?
It's just, you know, I've had talks months ago just about just safety, you know, just safety, man. So it's
Safety from rolling an ankle?
no,
Like
I
basketball?
don't think it's that. What I was given was just safety. Hey, can Cayce please make sure they monitor the courts, or you know, y'all gonna have cameras and stuff like that. That's all I was given, and obviously I'm like, yeah, you know, our police will monitor and we'll have cameras. I don't see how that's a problem. So I don't understand why they would come back with us with a full court idea when our citizens want a full court. I mean, I don't see why they would come to us with a half court proposal. Our citizens deserve a full court proposal, and I would love for us to support that for them and I don't know about M Avenue as well, but I know for Sunnyside, I know my constituents will love a full court there. And so whatever we have to do.
I mean, I'm happy to open up a dialogue with the director, see where that stands and what we can do.
Yes, sir. And moving on from basketball courts, me and Wesley last week, we had a nice meeting with Regan about the Riverwalk. You know, he is always out there, and I love it. I love it. He's always out there. Something we could consider for the future that he informed us was about, well, you know what? Let Wesley kind of dive into that and everything.
And this was part of the discussion that Mike and I had earlier today about keeping everyone informed. I had to send out an email about this meeting. Just haven't gotten to it today, but now I can tell you. So we met with Regan, and he was discussing the Riverwalk and signage for one. We do know we need to do a better job with our signage when we have parts of the Riverwalk that are closed down. Ashley and I have been talking about that as part of the drainage project that's going to go on there at the Naples M Avenue area. We're going to have some signage there to let people know that the access will be closed off, but restrooms will still be open. That sort of thing. So like where the Riverwalk is closed, Regan was saying we needed to have some notifications along the trail in different parks to let folks that maybe don't go on our social media or don't watch our meetings on TV that they're out for a jog or for a bike ride, they are given fair warning that parts of the Riverwalk will close down. So that's one thing that he would like to see. Of course, just general maintenance on the Riverwalk. We've got some areas that we know were damaged from Helene sidewalks, so we have some cracking and all. That's another thing we need to address. And just some improvements that we can do over the years, widening areas, improving access for bicycles primarily, and even maybe some additional Riverwalk access from neighborhoods. Whether we can find some other points of entry into the Riverwalk to give residents easier access to walk into the Riverwalk, or maybe some expansions even as far as the Riverwalk goes. He's got some ideas on that. He shared a little bit of that with us. we'll have to look into it and see what's doable, you know, what is, what isn't, but, he brought up some things about Old State Road, going out further away, and just how bikers are using it as a commuter access now too. So, I think that's kind of everything in a nutshell. He had some great ideas.
And also just about us considering the future of our Riverwalk, expanding it, because I guess it's 8 feet now, right?
But most of it is 8 feet. Of course, he would like to see a wider multi-use trail. 8 foot is sort of the minimum standard, I would say. But there's a few places, especially like near Kelly Jones Park, where the Riverwalk connects over to, is that phase 3 or where the boat landing is?
Comes back off of the river.
Yeah, it's where it comes back and goes to Riverwalk Park. It's a 5 foot sidewalk. So if there's ways that we could work to interact, trail better with each other, so that if you are on the Riverwalk, it looks like part of the Riverwalk instead of like you transitioning to a 5 foot sidewalk in the neighborhood. And those kinds of things. And curves, some of the curves are hard 90-degree turns. It's like if you're a biker, it can be dangerous for runners, joggers, walkers. You have to slow down and maybe can't see around a blind corner. That kind of stuff. And a lot of it we can address in maintenance. But then that may be something we look into of going after some funding to improve some of these areas like urban parks, sidewalks, and the connectivity. You mentioned the connection that Dominion placed is over near the water intake plant. There's a section of trail that sort of dead ends to their complex. There's a way that we can connect that around to 12th Street potentially. So, get some great ideas. Pursue those.
And one more thing, and since you're talking about parks, the land and water grant, like I got to share with y'all through email, just, you know, it's a 2-year grant process, and you know, you have to put in the bid this year and they don't award it until next year. It's a repayment, reimbursement grant, and it's a $2 million grant. So me and Wesley met over the spring with Debbie, and she said, hey, you don't have to eat the hippopotamus in one go. You can just, hey, start small, and then in 2 more years, come back with, you know, even a bigger project if y'all have the funding for it. So I was thinking to myself, hey, we have to turn in some paperwork if we are interested by the mid of September. And in my heart of hearts, I would love to not waste an opportunity for us to potentially get grant money for Ginyard Park, because that's the part that falls under the land and water conservation grant. Am I correct? That's the only park we have in our city.
Ginyard is.
Yeah, Ginyard, my apologies.
We
Ginyard.
can qualify others for it. We have to go through a process. And just to, I think what he's trying to say is too about the timeline is we have to put intentions in, like send an intention letter in that we are going to seek funding for a particular project, and then we can elaborate on it more for the fall deadline. And it is 50-50 up to $2 million to be awarded. And it can be used for pretty much any park upgrades that we would like to do.
Yeah, we got a land, water, soil conservation grant for Ginyard Park a couple of years ago. And that's what shored up the creek bed and planted a lot of the elephant ears that you see in the creek, and fixed the sidewalks, a number of those things. So it is a really hefty match.
Yes, ma'am.
But if there's, I would love if we could use that somewhere else, but if there's something that y'all want to bring us a project to consider to use that for.
Granby was mentioned as
Yes.
she came out, the lady from PRT, she took a look there and said that Granby Park would be an excellent place to use that funding as well. I think there's some restrictions on where it can be, because you do have to place restrictions, and it's pretty much a perpetual thing. You have to keep signage up, and they come out and do an audit every once in a while to make sure it's within their standards. So we would have to get qualified for another park besides Ginyard. But she looked at Granby Park and said that would be a place that would qualify.
Yeah, if y'all want to give us some more information about it, that'd be good.
I don't want to get too granular and then Yeah.
Tim wanted to know.
You're good, you just look my
If
way.
you're still
You're
at the
good.
same
No,
time.
You're good, go ahead, Tim.
Thank you. I guess my first question, who's Regan?
Oh, Regan, he is,
I was wondering.
Sorry.
I'm like, who are y'all talking? I guess that's why we're having a work session, because I'm like, what are y'all talking about? So who is Regan and what is he telling you we need?
Regan Freeman, he works for Dark Brown on.
The Cola.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
He's with that, yeah.
So, good guy to be able to give you
I just
some
met him
guidance.
the other day.
Okay, good.
Sorry about that.
Sorry about
You
that.
gotta quit talking in Morse code over there,
I thought he
man.
could communicate well.
I had no idea. But I do want to go back to the Riverwalk. The mayor pretty much hit on it, and Phil even said, you know, it's the crown jewel. I know we've only got so much bandwidth, but when something like that happens, we just need to be all barrels on it, because guys, that's a lot of our bread and butter right there. I mean, that Riverwalk defines a lot of us. And I guess I'm just kind of hearing a little bit about what's going on. Phil asked questions. I didn't know all the intricacies of it, and I realize it's probably big, Mike, but holy cow, we just need to jump on this thing and figure out what we can do. And I think this is a council who's willing to be able to support you in whatever we need to do with that. And I know we're talking about, what about a basketball court, and what about this, and that's good and positive stuff. But right now we got a Riverwalk that's down. So priorities, okay. That's really where I want to try to help you guys to focus, is some priorities. Listen, whether it's half a court or a full court, you know me, I love parks, and if it wasn't for the city of Cayce Parks when I grew up, I wouldn't have had anything. That's where I play, and I want it for future children. But right now we've got to set some priorities, because there's only so much bandwidth and there's only so much money, and I really believe that Riverwalk is a focal point that we need to think about, because people of all ages go there. Not just little kids and not just older people, but a little bit everybody. When it's cooler, we all go down there anyway. You know, so I'd like for us to focus over there. The other thing is we work very, very hard getting the internet capability for the parks. Which ones are they up and active in, and have we applauded Lumos, and where are we at with all that? Because listen, the moms that I talk with during the daytime, they'd love to be able to go to the park. But when I was trying that, it was about, I work from home, and they love to be able to go to the park and have their computer and be able to work while the kids are playing. I love that. And Lumos was quick to come. But where are we at with that, and what parks were chosen? And
So Art Lot is up and running.
our lot? Art lot, okay.
M Avenue and Sunnyside are the next coming to fruition, and we're just working on power, and that's one of the things that he was down at the park today.
Yes.
What's the holdup as far as power? Is it a financial holdup or a partnership holdup or what?
Well, so at M Avenue Park, it's a partnership with Lexington County Recreation. I met with them this morning. They are getting the power situated for us.
Okay.
Putting on the pole, we need to make sure the power was adequate for the Wi-Fi, the system that was going in.
And they should have that up for us soon. Lumos will be able to come out pretty quickly once we get that provided for them. Sunnyside is a little bit more complicated. There isn't any power at all there.
Is Sunnyside also a Lexington County Recreation Park or not?
Yes, sir.
It is. Okay. So we are, that's right, it is, because we went over there that day to watch them put some stuff in. So our partners are working with us to get this work accomplished?
They definitely are at M Avenue. Sunnyside Park is going to be more on us. We need to have a power pole set and then have a panel and a meter put in place for that park.
And I'll talk to you a little bit more about that partnership
Okay.
I have now.
Just hear me when I say again, I'm going back to the Ginyard thing. I'm going to that in a minute, but I'm going back to the Riverwalk, priorities, and helping you guys to focus on what we need. Because we've been talking about internet in the parks for almost a year. And we know we needed power. So I'm just wondering, if it's a financial thing, I believe that's where you need to come to council. Hey, we need money to do this, or can we do this, or can we do that? If it's a partnership thing, well, call upon us. We're ready to call those partners and say, hey, you know, what's up? But I don't know where things slow down with those, because it seems a little easy to be able to accomplish. If not, we're here to serve you, Mike,
Yes, sir.
is what I'm saying.
We're supposed to be 5 parks?
6.
I thought it was all of.
No,
No,
not
we
all
got
of them.
5
They could only
parks.
do a certain amount.
Oh.
So it was Art Lot, Sunnyside, M Avenue, and Ginyard Park. The other one was a offline conversation I'll have with you, because we were originally going to go to Granby Park down there.
Right.
That one, but they're not that close to Granby Park. But there's I believe there's a situation where we can have discussion with them. There's some things that, some receipts we need to talk to them about. So that's a conversation that we're gonna have with them. I wanted them to focus on those 2 other parks before we really started talking about this one.
And you and I
So it'll be a little bit
both
more
know that,
difficult.
I mean, he's more than happy to do whatever. I mean, that's what they're, so you said Ginyard Park.
Yes, sir.
We've got electricity there.
He's saying they can't get lumos. Lumos isn't close
Okay.
enough to
Okay.
No, they are
Ginyard?
in Ginyard Park. They just,
Oh, okay.
Ginyard Park, the hard part for Ginyard Park is,
Granby, my bad, sorry.
Granby is, yes,
Yeah,
yes,
I'm
ma'am.
over.
So Granby, they're not close to, but Ginyard they are. And in Ginyard, we have electricity, so what's the holdup?
What's that? We haven't, they prioritize those two particular ones over Granby. The Granby one, it's not overly difficult, but the system that they use is a wireless to device system. So it's basically almost like the old antenna stuff you kind of have to see. There's so many trees in Ginyard
Mm.
that we've kind of waffled back and forth if that's really the best site to put the Wi-Fi in. Will it actually function correctly?
Oh, so you're looking to do it for the entire Ginyard Park?
Yes, sir.
Oh, see, I'm not of that impression, you know, that's a big park, and so, you know, I would figure Lumos would probably be over by where the playground equipment and whatnot is, and just that.
And we could talk, and that's an easier one to do. The power is there, the bulb's
Yeah.
there. That was just the discussion we sort of had, is sort of that straight line system.
Let us know what we can do to help, Mike, to be able to push that, because our partners are ready, as we're being told anyway. So, and they came to the table. So then let me talk about Ginyard Park. And the other night at council meeting, we all became a bit disenchanted to see what all was going on. And I feel like we take 4 or 5 steps good forward, and then all of a sudden we tear up half of Ginyard Park. And guys, if you've not been down there, go see it. It's sad, but I know it's a part of something that we got to get done. But when it comes to parks, again, to the top of the list is going to be either them or the drainage project or something to bring that park back to the beauty that it's been for over 100 years. And I don't want us to wait until, okay, they're done. Oh, now who's going to do this? Because the park deserves more than that. It just has been chopped down. It's sad to me. It's really sad. The other thing is, and I was down there today just kind of watching people, and you were right, Mayor. People can't do the loop. And they're going one way, turning around, getting lost, or going back the other way. And I know that our taxpayers aren't just to be able to loop people. I get that. But it's a 100+ year park that was given to the city to be able to take care of. And of course, we got a drainage project. But what can we do to be able to make sure that the end means looks really good? And if it's us putting a little bit of money and a partner putting in a little money, let's have a plan so that we're not talking about that park a year later after everything's completed. I'd love for that to be at the top. And Mayor, I think we can go up on DeLessa line and actually be a walk around for a little while. I kind of walked it. The only challenge is it means that you got to go up on the street to be able to go around. I know that you were going to look at that too, Mike. But that's
my
a
thought
lot
was
of
go out
people
to that
down there.
park and finding another, instead of having to walk all the way back around,
Uh-huh.
try to find a way that we can put in a temporary trail,
You all right?
maybe a couple of blocks down, just a trail that we put back, but.
So remedial to be able to keep people coming is what I'm looking at, because we've cut the river walk. Now we're cutting Ginyard Park. It's challenging.
Well, and I think to your point, the challenge is we as a council have always agreed about communication, and we didn't know that was coming. I've had conversations with the property owner across the street. He didn't know that was coming. And if we had known and been like, hey, here's the plan, here's what the park's gonna look like when we're done, here's how we're gonna put it back and make it better, because there were conversations about that in other parts of this drainage plan. And if we'd have gone, gosh, we really don't like that, but there's no other way, let's make sure we start talking to everybody. And we're
Listen, I've gone back and I've looked through all the plans that I've got because I was scared I missed something.
no, I
The
knew-
mayor's done the same thing. Guys, nowhere can you show me that they were going to go in and tear a quarter of Ginyard Park out. Hair on my arm, stand up and I talk about it. I mean, it's just not what we do. I'm sorry, we do that, but what we do before is knock on the door. Mr. Such and Such, I need to show you what's going to happen because I know this, because that's the city we are. That's how we do. We don't cut people's streets off without telling them a week ahead, we're cutting your street off. And I know I'm talking about streets now instead of parks, sorry, but it's still right there at it. So what I'm asking us to do, Mike, is get way ahead of this thing, but I would ask for council to consider us having a plan in place as soon as possible, what we're going to bring Ginyard Park back to and who we're holding accountable to make that happen.
Well, I mean, I asked in the last council meeting, I wanted a rendering. We didn't know what we're looking at yet.
And I'm positive there's a drawing somewhere because these architects or engineers or contractors can't go down there and tear all this up without having some rendering of what they're doing.
We have engineered drawings, they're just not renderings, they're not gonna show you. They'll show you maybe the elevation, they'll show you a crosshatch, but it's not any landscaping, it's not visual. But we've met with them this morning to start working on that plan and getting landscape drawings put up and a rendering of what that area where the outfall will be, so we can start having those discussions of, again, when we put it back, we'll put it back above the standard in which it was.
It's great. It's great to hear.
Right, except I don't want that on us. That we need to explore what's in the grant,
Yeah, that's right.
what's in the plan. I mean, we know none of that. I'm not chipping in more taxpayer dollars until we know what's going on.
So thank you for letting me go down that route. But I guess what I'm trying to end with, Mike, is we've now cut off the river walk. We now cut off Ginyard Park, but we're talking about, half-court basketball. We got to figure out priorities here and get focused and do what's most important. And it helps you too, for us to help you get focused on things like that. And Mayor, Council, my focus is get that river walk and get Ginyard Park and get those things squared away. Make sure our partners with Lexington County Recreation are working with us in the manner that they should. And I know Jim had been working with them on some things. Pickleball has grown enormously. You literally have to wait an hour to be able to get a pickleball court down on M Avenue every single night. It's great. Cars are all over. It's great. And what's even better is the kids are playing on the stuff while mom and dad's out there playing pickleball. This is good stuff. We're answering what the needs of our community are. And I think throughout the city we have different needs in different areas, and we do a good job of answering those needs. Thank you for letting me know who Regan is.
Do we know if Everplay is using those pickleball courts do they use those? I know they use the fields over there for stuff, but.
Oh,
and
are you talking about the Everplay group?
Yeah.
No,
Like M Avenue?
sorry?
Down M Avenue?
Yeah, are they using the pickleball courts or
No.
just the fields?
Just the
Okay,
fields.
I was about to say.
And both fields on Thursday night, and then one field on Tuesday night usually is what Everplay does. And it's full.
Yeah.
It's full. It's a good group of people. I mean, this is a place to be able to go and tell them where to go eat and get a cup of coffee and everything else. Because these are folks that aren't from Cayce that are coming and playing with the Everplay. But it's community folks that are playing pickleball, Hunter.
Yeah, that's what I was asking. I just wanted to make sure that Everplay wasn't hogging up the
No.
view there, and at least that people know that, or waiting, know about the new facility too that's around the corner from here.
Mike, I'm sure too. I'm sorry, Hunter. Just so late last night we came in. It was very, very late, like wee hours of the morning, and the lights were on at the pickleball court. So I know the police officers probably report that if it does it all the time, but I mean they were on at 1 a.m. So I know that's probably got to be bothering the folks that live around there.
Yeah, actually,
It's funny you say that. So when we were there today, I asked him, I said, can you take a look at the timer and see what it's set to? He said it was set to 11.
Oh no, it was
I had to
much.
change it to 10.
Yeah, it was-
That's too.
Yeah, maybe he corrected it now, changed it
Well,
to 10.
But no, maybe it's
We'll follow
not
up on it,
functioning. If
Yeah.
y'all see it, I can get with the chief and see if somebody keep an eye on it.
Yeah, take a look at it and see if it was like it was last night. I know it just goes to show the kindness of our neighbors that they don't report something like that, but I mean, it was on in the wee hours last night.
And they were touting that they had just upgraded the light bulbs on it too.
They were bright.
LEDs.
They were bright.
So I think they might be brighter than they used to be.
The last thing I was going to mention from earlier, I don't want to nitpick on what kind of equipment's on the Riverwalk and such, but we figured I'd just ask a question to give my opinion on it. Have we received any complaints from the e-bikes going too fast on the Riverwalk at all? I don't know if that's, and if not, perfectly fine. I don't want to be one to complain about it, but as they are, I see them around, I'm glad they're picking up steam and people are driving to work or riding to work, I should say, and around town, but just was curious if we've received any.
I can't
complaints
say I have
about that.
spoken to anyone about them citizen-wise. I've actually talked to our park patrol on it a couple of times, and they brought up that maybe that's something that we should probably take an interest in.
I just know some of them, depending on how much they are, go a little bit faster than others, upwards of 30 mile an hour or more. When you can change out the equipment, almost like taking the governor off. That's not the term for it, but yeah, make it go a little faster. I don't personally have a problem with it. I just didn't know if anybody else was hearing that. With both Riverwalks kind of being shut down from being contiguous, I assumed that there probably aren't any complaints right now. There's probably a lot less people using the Riverwalk, but I'm glad that it's a growing trend now. People having them.
A couple of thoughts about the Riverwalk. I've noticed that there's a lot of mud in some places that seems to be standing, and I want us to be mindful of our liability. Now that y'all are in charge, I would love if you could go to our parks team and just say, what do you need? How can we support you in keeping this clear of the mud? Because I know we've gotten some equipment at some points, but these are just areas that are just sitting. So we want to make sure that they have the support they need, because I know they have more territory than we have people in Fulton. So I'm thankful for everything that they do. Also, there's a sculpture down there that I think a private citizen asked to be put down there. And while I love that, it apparently is not built to the standards of the Riverwalk. And right now, it just has orange tape all the way around it. So that's not really honoring what the citizen wanted. And it's not really honoring enjoying the Riverwalk. So I don't know if we need to go back to that person who asked for it, who had it installed, and say, these are the standards that it has to be set to. Or we can try to move it to some higher ground or somewhere where it's more stable or safe. But I'd love for us to figure that out in ways that honor what they wanted, but doesn't just leave orange.
What area of the Riverwalk is that?
Right, when you go to the T from Naples,
Yeah, whenever.
Yep.
it's
right
it's
to the right.
literally right.
Take a right on the left.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, exactly. There's a citizen who wants to help spearhead bringing a skate park to the city. And I wonder if we can get on our City of Cayce social media pages, if you could go to my page and repost from my page. There's a cute little video of him with his daughter sitting in his lap. He's done a whole bunch of research on grants and all those things, but he just wants people to help. This is what we want. We want people to get involved and to spearhead these things. I'd love to get that out there further. If we can say, you know, hey, please comment below if you want to be a part of this, and you know, and let's let this citizen run with that, and you know, we can support. Those are the kinds of things that take some pressure off of us, and it supports what they want. So he did a great job with that video. It's fun if y'all repost it from my page. And then lastly, Wesley and I sat in and I emailed all of y'all so you know about the Mayor's Institute for City Design that I had been a part of many years ago. They had invited alumni mayors to be a part of this virtual training on parks. And Wesley and I sat in on it, lots of great information on funding. I've sent you guys the recording, but you might take a look at that to see, you know, what ideas are they? They did a great job of saying, here's how things are structured with public-private parks. Here's how here's some funding mechanisms. It was really well done. And it was only an hour?
Yeah, it's right in an hour.
Yeah, right in an hour. So it's not very long, but that was really helpful, free information for us that might help us to get at some of our goals. So, thank you. All right, next topic.
Economic development. So we have Luke, wondering wide open now on economic development, and good for him. He's a bundle of energy and ideas. He is recreating our economic development page that had lacked a lot before. So he's really using some of his past experience in recreating that page. And one of the things he's creating on that page is sort of a vacant commercial property listing, so we can see those property listings over in Cayce. We'll have more on that. So he's been working on that recently. He's also been working on a bit of a cost calculator, so we can hopefully go talk to some of our neighboring properties and have conversations with their annexation, or willing to annex into the city of Cayce. But we need to do that strategically. Some of it we can do through our already development agreements that we have through utilities, and some of them are older that we may want to have those conversations. But I want to start bringing him to council to start having those conversations. If that's the interest of council, we're working the back room, just trying to get some information gathering, so when we go talk to someone, if we chose to do so, we have that information to discuss what the benefit is of being in Cayce, not only with security and fire and ISO ratings, but also cost efficient. What it costs to be in Cayce and what it costs to be outside of Cayce. So we're working hard on some of those. And we'll see more guidance as we get a little bit further down that road. So I hope to bring a couple of those ideas to you soon. The other ones that I thought were really interesting, and I think this is really where we talk about our character and our history in Cayce, is the daily bill that's out there as a resource, and also, of course, the South Carolina Abandoned Bill Revitalization Act, which is it's a state. It was just re-upped. There's a wonderful presentation of the governor doing right next door in Savage Craft. That's out there. We want to make sure that we are publicizing that on our website again, letting people know the resources that we have, and getting that information out there. The Bailey Bill is also a good resource, and I've talked to our museum commission about that before in the past. There's a little bit more legwork to get to the Bailey Bill to get it an ordinance. We do have to do it by ordinance. We do need the support of Lexington County, since they're the taxing entity on that. And we have to have a board, sort of a review, architectural review board on those particular things. So there are some things, and hope to get a little guidance if you still want us to go down that road and look at those. They're great options for our developers in the city. It's reusing existing buildings. These are all tax credits that multiple revitalization efforts have used. So looking for some guidance on that. And Oh, the other was sort of getting a little guidance on sort of what we're, you know, when I get Luke to go out there and start looking for businesses to come into City of Cayce, yes, we always have conversations with the one that seek us out. But do we get him to go seek some individual industries out? It's ice cream shops, it's restaurants, drinking establishments, hotels, whatever. Sort of trying to get a little gauge from you of what we believe are those interesting quality of life add additions to our community that we're sort of looking for, so I can, again, hone him in different directions and send him on his way. He's looking and he's ready to go, so I'm going to make sure I use his talents.
Michael, I'm not sure, I guess it's economic development. Historically, when these things are brought to us as ideas or possibilities or potential grants, I kind of sometimes lock them in and go back to communications. Perhaps we don't get the grant, and I missed that part, and I've still got this thing locked in. I've still got locked in my head sidewalks on Frank Street from state. So they went out and put did a bunch of surveys and stakes in the ground one time up to Foreman, and then that railroad, abandoned railroad spur that angles in and comes in right almost Sailor Road right there in front of us, all Foreman. Is that still alive, or did I dream something wrong?
All of those are still alive, and they're all in a little bit different phases. So there is a TAP grant for the sidewalk section. Some is it redoing existing sidewalks, and some of it is adding different sections of sidewalk from State Street along Frank to McDuffie. That's as far as they were going to go. We thought they were going to go to Foreman, but they're not. They're going to go to McDuffie, which is just a little bit short. That is with DOT, and they are engineering that process.
Let me ask a question before you go. That makes no sense to me, just to go to McDuffie and stop. I'm sorry, am I missing something?
No, it's funding. That's the funding they had you go to McDuffie.
Well, always is,
Right. And they find I always forget the term that DOT uses, but
Terminal point,
what's that?
like a terminal point.
Yeah, a good terminal point, so if they're going to McDuffie, they couldn't make it all the way to Foreman, which is fine. The IJ is, we had money in there for sidewalks to go beyond that. So we had to wait and sort of get that idea of when they were stopping so we could start our design to go from there to 12th Street. And talking to our design team, we're actually going to take it to James. So we're going to take the sidewalks all the way down to James.
So you get that thing turned back up toward Foreman, then you get back into your skate park mechanism over there in that little area. There's some dirt there that maybe not.
Yeah.
I mean, all this could tie together if we.
100%. And the rails and trails you spoke of right there at the spur of Foreman, we are waiting for them to get a financial agreement to us. That was just recent. We just recently got that news handed
Oh,
down.
good, thank you, great.
All good news.
Yes.
They're just in different phases. We're working with DOT on the larger section for the sidewalks, but DOT also has the TAP side of that other side.
I was gonna say, whenever you mentioned, thank you, Mayor, that Luke's spun up and ready to run, do you think there's any opportunity in seeing, I don't want all this time to be, also, it's not up to me whatsoever, but speaking out loud here and ideas and such, would it be beneficial to see if there's anything that BJ over in West Columbia or other folks that have economic development specific positions that he could overlap at maybe an event they go to, things like that. I don't think you want to spend all of his time running around economic development, recruitment, but if you're going to spend some of it that way, it might be a benefit to reach out and maybe see. And you might have already done that, but just a thought, because I know that I see sometimes he goes to different events, conferences, things of that nature. I don't even know what those are, but just a thought there to see.
And he's already got, there's a local group of economic developers with all the municipalities around that he's already been involved in.
That's awesome. Sounds like a rock star. You said he's pretty young, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's awesome.
Mike, what is the potential for us to have the city do like a little meet and greet with some of these property owners that have these vacant properties, with potential people that are interested? I know I've seen other cities kind of have these little events. Oh, how long ago? Sorry, I wasn't here.
So it was when we had passed on first reading the vacant building ordinance, and we did what we do well, which is say, we're not even gonna look at second reading until 6 months from now.
Yes, ma'am.
So we sent information out to all the building owners who had vacant buildings, and then hosted a meet and greet, just
Yes,
like
ma'am.
that, with all the people who call us all the time, which is, my concern that, then do looking good if he's going out there and recruiting all these businesses, and the building owners aren't gonna do anything. So I know, Tim, you had mentioned wanting to bring that back up.
Right.
You wanna?
Yeah. Oh, were you through?
Oh, wait, go ahead and talk about it. Then
I
come back.
got a couple things to talk about. So I'll start with, so the governor's, this is probably going into the 5th year of the Abandoned Building Act, which it's not just about what the governor and the cities can do, it's about having the correct contractor to be willing to do it, because there's a lot of bells and whistles and hoops to have to jump through to be able to get those incentives and grants and funds back. So you just can't go out and think anybody's going to do it. And you had mentioned Savage, and Savage is a perfect example of a gentleman who decided to be able to hook up with a contractor that would be willing to do it. And at the end of the day, they all saved lots of money because there were grants there. I think what we need to do is just continue looking at people like Bobby Alexander with Pyramid, who has done that in the 1500 block of State Street and has a history of doing things like that, and trying to couple him up with many of the buildings that the mayor was trying to put a focal point on throughout the city that may be vacant, but they may be abandoned, but they could be historical in some way, shape, or form. That black tile building, look at it now, it's beautiful. I mean, it's absolutely a beautiful building that finally somebody decided, okay, this will fit our need, and we're going to be able to get some incentives. I think, Mike, it's like having to determine who are your partners and bring those people to the table. It's not going to be your McCrory. They're not in it for that. But a smaller, mid-sized type contracting company is in it for that, and they don't mind submitting various forms to have to get the approval. It slows things down a tad, but the money's there. And there, the mayor did bring up, gosh, it's been 2 years ago now or longer, the abandoned building, and there was a lot of discussion. It wasn't controversy at all among council. It was discussion about, are these code enforcement issues, and should we be doing a better job of enforcing that? If we enforce accordingly, either somebody's going to bring that building up to standards, Wes, or they're going to say, I need to just go ahead and sell it. Either is fine with us, because it's a building that needs to be utilized and needs to be beautified. But we did look at an ordinance, and at that time, a couple of us said, let's hold off and wait and see if we can get people to do a little better job. Well, if by now they don't know what we're trying to do, I don't know when they're going to come around. But like looking at that building at the corner of Poplar and Oakland and State, that a tree was laying on the side of for a while. Listen, that's negligence. That's absolute negligence that puts children in danger. I believe economic development personally has a lot to do with code enforcement, Wes. And we've got to enforce these codes. And abandoned buildings can't be unsafe buildings. An abandoned building cannot be an unsafe building. And if somebody says, well, no, it's my daddy's and I just don't want to sell it, well, make sure that it's not dangerous and make sure that it's up to code. Because if you're not, then you need to do the right thing. And there are a lot of buildings, I believe, down through there that that's what we call the art district, because it is probably the grandfather's grandfather area of the city of Cayce. It's the most historic. So there within itself, just by definition, you're probably going to find that some of those who do fit the governor's bill. I really think that. Now, there's probably many other areas around the city too that do as well. But we just got to pull these partners together and probably revisit this ordinance. Because if people aren't going to do it on their own, then we're going to have to encourage them to do it. The other thing I want to ask is, are our partners with Lexington County, it seems to me in executive session we've been given a lot more information here over the last probably few months than I've ever heard. And that's enlightening, because it shows there's a lot of interest in where we're growing and where we need to put our priorities. So whatever caused that, please continue to do that. And I believe this council really wants to hear those things in executive session, because we're hearing things we're like, no, that can't be true. And if it really is true, we need to know, so we know how to direct people, or, especially being that we give everybody water and sewer. Okay? It may not be in the city limits, but it's an impact on this city, because we've only got a certain amount of water and sewer capacity. So I love having these folks come up here and let us know all that. And please continue bringing that information in executive session, or in full session if you can. But I know a lot of it is trying to recruit people that they don't want their name being known yet. I like that.
Byron, did you want to finish up?
Oh, well, I just wanted to throw a quick comment, just how, we were talking about types of, I know I've gotten a lot of times with my people in Riverland Park. We definitely would love to see, obviously it would be more so the 12th Street extension plans, but more restaurants closer to them, even a grocery store. So I'm just making sure y'all hear just some of those needs that they were like. And speaking, Hunter mentioned Everplay earlier. I definitely know whomever takes over the old Henry's, I definitely know a lot of the people from Everplay would go to Henry's afterwards, which help Henry's, the owners, and help our city, get more H-tax and stuff like that. So whenever that comes up, I know it's gonna be great for our city.
Well, they go to Trini Line now.
I don't think
They go to Peacewise.
I don't think they stay open. Like, I think they close at 6.
6.
Sadly. Yes, ma'am.
I know she's struggling. I mean, that's part of the reason that this vacant building ordinance is important, because she doesn't benefit from cross-pollination of traffic. Businesses, the buildings with them being vacant, she's struggling.
Yes, ma'am.
That's the one I talked to you about, that needs attention.
Well, I what you doing with the whole jazz thing, which is great. When I was able to have my little, music in the park, she thankfully stayed open later, and I think doing things like that, doing things like that will help more foot traffic, so then it encourages Peacewise and Tring Line to stay open later. So, just doing these small things. Then I spoke to the mayor of Greenville last year, and he said, hey, his little jazz concerts blossom, and that's why Greenville's downtown they have today. So, just doing these small things helps our businesses. Yes, ma'am.
I'll just add one other thing, and I think it was something that came up when you and I were together, Phil, about the dilapidated building fund. Years ago, we got into a position where we had just a little bit of funding. I think it was $50,000. It wasn't much at all, but we had a tiny bit of money, and we said we are going to put a little bit of money in this fund so that we can do something about these. These were residences, so not necessarily commercial. Although it might have included some, but it was a cross-section team of staff. So building official, fire marshal, et cetera, code enforcement. They all got together and they said, we're going to rank them. And they got the list of all the residences that were vacant, and they said, these are our top 10. These are the ones that we're going after. And we talked about that. It was an agenda item in a council meeting. We talked about having that little bit of seed money, and we got one torn down without having to do anything, because we had such good coverage from the media that the guy who owned number 1 had bought it in a tax sale, never seen it, and he's like, I sees it on the news, he's like, I think that's the property I bought, and he took care of it. But that's the kind of message that we send by, saying, look, we got a little bit of money in here, so if we can look at doing something like that, even if it's next budget season, but, and then keeping us up to date on those things. But addressing these vacant buildings will just create so much synergy of other fun businesses that we can go out to eat or shop or whatever. So, thank you. All right, wastewater extension.
Okay, wastewater expansion. So I addressed it sort of at last council meeting. We are moving forward with the PER. Betsy and her team are working with the engineering firm to go ahead and start scoping that out and then working on the PER, which should be about a 6-month-long process. Listening to all of our experts, they say it should take about 6 months once we get it scoped and moving. I spoke with Betsy today, and she is working with that group to sort of getting that process going. One of the things I think is going to be difficult for us, I'm not going to say difficult, let me take that back, but it's going to be a challenge for us, is we are going to have to create what our future capacity needs are going to be. I think that's going to be one of those big challenges for us, to sit us down, do a good process, and we'll have that as part of our PER, but I do want you to start thinking about those, because that's going to be the next, one of the big questions that's going to come up, is what do we want out of that next wastewater treatment plant? If it is an expansion, we don't know if it's going to be expansion. We'll get all that information from that evaluation of the PER, but if it is, most of you knew when it was originally created that we still have a $6.4 million or gallon expansion that was sort of built into that existing plant. So that was created to be that next expansion. Well, if our needs surpass that 6.4 million gallons, then we're talking like what the way that I was told that the plant was built was sort of like it's a mirror image of one another. On one side, you flip it, and there's another mirror image of that. Well, economy of scale, we start talking about more and more. We start talking about more and more dollars. So anyway, as we're going through that process, just think about those in the back of your mind. We'll be working with our partners as they curate those same evaluations for them and getting that information to us in that PER. I did want to remind you, of course, that we have the sewer master plan and hydraulic model is starting with our team, so they're working through that process, and we should get a good amount of information back from that as we work through the PR as well. And then lastly, I've been approached about possibly setting up a tour for our wastewater treatment plant. Councilman Thomas is working through his federal partners to sort of create a tour. Any federal dollars that we can possibly help, happy to have those tours. We're going to have those discussions with anybody that would like to chip into the fund. Would be amazing. So I don't know, Councilman Thomas, do you want to talk about it?
Yes, sir. So this is the way I look at our wastewater facility is like, this is bigger than just Cayce. This is the county. This is the state of South Carolina. These industries, they attract people from all over the world to come live, work, and play here. So I'm a big believer that other cities, they're always requesting or asking for federal or state help. We should be that same city. It shouldn't all just be on our Cayce taxpayer. So something I've set up, hopefully at the end of this month, will be some staffers from the senator's offices to come meet with Mike. And I told Mike, hey, bring people from the county economic development team or whomever you have to, just to go ahead and paint that picture to them of, hey, we need to engage you, because we're gonna, if we can get some federal help, we want to make sure y'all know we're open for business to receive that federal help, as well as making sure the county and our state partners know, hey, we need some state funds as well, because these businesses that come in here, they're big timers. These are no, just no nickel and dime. These are multi-million-dollar businesses that we're dealing with here. So we want to make sure, in my heart of hearts, too many times government just does barely enough to be like, oh, the next person to have to deal with it. I would love to see if we all work together with our federal, state, county partners, we set the next people up 25, 30, if we can, like years, like people are not here 20 years or 15 years from now. If that can be, if we can solve that problem now, Mayor, that's just I'm just being proactive. But so that's why I've been engaging with Mike. Hey, even though it's early, let's be proactive, because too many times in government people are reactive. I want to go ahead and get them involved with our conversation early, so then they're aware. So then when it's time for us to be like, hey, you've seen what our issues are, we have it in front of you, what our goals are, can you help us? Then they're not like caught off guard. So like I told Mike, everyone's welcome to those meetings, because it's going to take all of us to work together to expand this plan, to make sure we take care of our Cayce citizens first, but also our business partners and the county and the state. So that's what we've been working on.
As we plan that,
I'm glad to see you carry on that tradition. That's what we did when we created the plant.
Yes, ma'am.
It was a collaboration of regional partners, Town of Lexington, Joint Municipal Water Sewer Commission. So thank you
Yes,
for
ma'am.
picking up what we've been doing and moving that forward.
and as we continue, I was just wanting to say, as we continue to plan this effort, of course, we'll keep you guys abreast. Please come down and talk to our federal friends to ask them to open up their pocketbooks.
Yeah. Because it is rural. I mean, it's not just the Cayce one. It's-
Yeah.
We have a regional wastewater community. Anything else on that?
Yeah, I've asked you this on several of the other topics too, about partners, and the mayor just mentioned Joint Municipal Water and Sewer Commission. Working with them and making sure that we're not surprised by anything, and being able to collaborate on what we need to collaborate on. Of course, I attend the meetings, but I know that there's more going on behind the scenes than what I probably know.
We've had a chance to meet with both partners a couple of times. We do keep them abreast of where we are, and I promise them that it is a partnership, and we will stay in tune and abreast of those things.
I think you already know this, but everybody throughout Lexington County, probably throughout the Midlands, recognize that we stole the best when we hired Betsy.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody that I talk with says, well, maybe you need to ask Betsy. So I'm glad that we have her.
And she's leading this effort.
Yeah.
I rely on her a lot. She's a wealth of knowledge and
Good.
so the last four, we'll run through them quickly again. I could probably mark two off if you would allow me to. One of them was the quarterly budget updates. Councilman Carter brought that forward. Happy to put something together and work with our municipal treasurer to get craft a draft of sort of what that looks like, and we can sort of go back and forth. I figured if it was quarterly, we still have a little bit of time to work on that, so happy to continue with you guys.
I think with the new system, that we have now, that should be pretty easy. As far as for me, I think the only thing that I would like to know is, I mean, if it's 6 months into the year and we're 80% expended in a line item, we don't want to be surprised by it. So if we need to know things like that ahead of time, that would be good.
100%. All right. Last was the Safe Streets. We are working with our staff and our consultants on that. There will be stakeholder meetings for those, so there'll be time to interact and engage in that. And we'll keep you abreast, and of course, we'll invite you to those stakeholder meetings. So there'll be plenty of time for input on those, so, and we're moving forward with that. So I don't think we needed to discuss too much on that. I didn't have really anything for the city budget that was listed on there. Happy to, of course, listen to your guys' directive. I think you guys have heard me. I'm passionate about the city budget. Stay in our guidelines, stay consistent, making sure that we're going back and reevaluating what we're doing, just not writing numbers from one year to the next, and making sure that we're good stewards of taxpayer dollars. And I really do want to start introducing that idea of a multi-year budget. I know council can't be held to multi-year budgets, but I believe if we plan accordingly for a multi-year budget, it does give us the opportunity to look ahead to see what we're doing, and especially these big spending dollar items, that we can prepare, we can plan for those instead of asking you guys to write a $1 million check for one thing or another each year. So that's really, I didn't particularly have a whole lot in the city budget, but I'm here.
Well, I know, I love that you said that, because, yes, by law, one council can't hold another council to those regulations, but I'm just a big believer, if we can just keep our citizens informed of these are our goals, these are where we're going, I just truly believe it helps them be able to fight for their families better. If we're hitting them with these increases and it's a surprise that they probably can't account for, in my belief, we didn't do them any justice. I've always been a big believer, you be proactive, you get better results than being reactive. So with whatever plan that you feel like, hey, in the next 5 years, this is where I would like to see the city of Cayce, we should be free to give our citizens that information so they can at least account for that. Because I know in my district, I have a lot of people on fixed incomes or sadly living paycheck to paycheck. So I want to be cognizant of that and be like, hey, at least our city, we can't control what the county does or the school district, but at least we're trying to show you what our goals, our plan is in regards to any potential fee increases. So whatever we can do or I working together, I really want to support you on that.
Mike, let me use a couple of words that I seem to be going back to tonight, and it's helping you to better understand our priorities, and then making sure that you have the bandwidth and the finances to be able to do it. And all that goes hand in hand. We can dream up half-court basketball goals if we want to, but if we don't have the finances and it's not a priority, then you're just running around doing something that you don't need to do, and your time can be well spent on something else. And I think the two things here, council workshops and city budget, really need to go hand in hand. If the majority of this council, helps you to set priorities, then we need to help you set the budget for that. If not, then what we're asking you to do is just not going to be able to get done. If you don't have enough employees to get it done, or you don't have the finances to be able to have it paid for, it's nothing but a dream. But going back to what Byron just said is, I think if we explain it very well to our community, then they'll embrace the reason that we're moving something into a budget, and they'll support it because it's a priority. But this needs to be well planned out 6 months prior to a budget. If not, we're just running around and trying to figure out what's causing what and what are we going to do about it. I don't know if y'all remember in Mike's interview, he referred to a book called Upstream. So whenever he referred to it, I tried to figure out what in the world Mike's thinking, and that's a hard thing to do. But I ordered the book and I read it. And if you guys want a good read Upstream. It's a very, very, very good read that helps you to quit just reacting to problems, but figure out what's causing it to occur, and then put your priorities there to be able to quit being so daggone reactive to what you could stop from happening. And it really illustrates a lot of great things in government, as well as city policy and city budget. And therefore, that's where I'm talking to you about bandwidth and finances and trying to get ahead of ourselves so that we can set you up for success when July 1st comes. If not, then we just talked. So my plea to you is the workshops need to all be towards a final goal, and that final goal needs to be matched with the finances. If not, why are we even talking about it?
And something going off to Tim. And Phil, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember when we was having our budget talks about all these capital projects. Like, I just feel like just hearing from y'all's comments, this list is just piling up. Am I correct, Councilman Carter?
Yes, in a way, but that project list goes from like a new city hall to paint the bathroom. I mean, it's capital,
I got
but
you.
it's all over the place.
No, I understand,
There's a lot
but-
of range to it.
Yes, well, Phil was just saying, hey, what's our plan to addressing
It's not
that?
going away.
Yes.
Capital
Mhm.
projects aren't.
Just-
I'd rather you take that list and say, this is 10 years out, this is
Yeah,
5 years out, this
yeah.
is 4 years out,
Mhm.
and get it off your plate.
Yeah, amen. That.
But I might as well get on my soapbox since I'm down up here.
Yeah, same.
I know the mayor said to stay on forward, some of you have. We had a work session many years ago, and the city manager said, your expenditures are gonna do this over time, and your revenue is gonna do this, and it's gonna do that. But we're here now, because this was like 6-7 years ago this happened, and I've just been talking that all these years. It can be done. We can make some pretty sound projections. Right, we can't hold anybody to it. We don't know what the economy's gonna do. Some election, there's a number of things that can happen. But we know expenditures are gonna continue to increase. And if we've got some sense, in 2 years, we're gonna have a problem. 3 years, we're gonna have a problem. That would be wonderful. At least we can have it in our head and start thinking about it.
Anything else on that subject? I have one more thing. It was part of the back and forth we were talking about, the police chief and fire chief. I would love to have them come in and give you guys an update. So we can work on an August meeting that they can come in and give you an update. And of course, we can have an executive session with the police chief so you can ask some questions, some pointed questions about a couple of things. So definitely no need to discuss. We'll get that on. Okay. I think that's everything I have.
Awesome. Do we need an executive session?
I do have a couple of questions for you. It should not take very long at all.
Is it, I mean, it can't be legal advice because we don't have a lawyer here. So what's the,
It's a contractual matter.
all right, so do we have a motion to go into executive session for proposed contractual matter?
Motion to go in executive session?
Second.
Call the question.
Mayor Pro Tem James?
Yes.
Councilmember Thomas?
Yes.
Councilmember Socks?
Yes.
Councilmember Carter?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes, thank you so many.
morning, Mayor. 8:30.
Everyone okay?
Yes. Yes.
Thank you, ma'am.
My son's going to Belize. He went down Monday and they're working.
That place is awesome.
Yeah.
Never been.
Yes.
But he's doing missionary work, for sure, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, he said he was bringing a presentation.
Got the 13 people with him. He's trying to herd cats.